When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competitive Zone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
The time certainly does fly on this new FF1600 schedule, and Maconi Entertainment brings you broadcasts of round 3 of the Open Series. We've matched the fixed series this time around on the track, and it's an absolute thrill ride. I'm Howie Burrows, and as ever, I'm joined by Ron Marnes. And Ron, what a track! Everyone knows it well. Some Americans probably know it better than others, but it's a seminal iRacing classic.
Well, the American on this show, Howie, let me tell you, I think we are in for a mighty fine race if I do say so myself. But no, Summit Point is an absolutely fantastic racetrack. It's one that just about everybody here on iRacing has run around at some point as part of this absolutely amazing schedule that we have to look forward to here for Season 3 of 2025. Next week at the Glen, the week after that, Road Atlanta, Laguna Seca, Long Beach, VIR, Mount Panorama, and Sonoma to follow to complete the first 10 weeks of this season. We've got a lot of American tracks to look forward to, but this is the quintessential one. This is an old school track and not a lot of runoff area, and the runoff area you do have is grass and gravel, so this is going to be a test for these racers to keep the season going.
A 4.3k SOF on this very wide split race, and quite a few of our major championship contenders are missing. Anyone without a country hasn't made it into today's lobby. Rens Brookman, the highest rated driver, in with a championship shout. And let me tell you, as we transition to qualifying, I've been watching the qualifying times go down and down and down all week, and I'm hoping that we get the chance for someone to break the track record this week. People have been tracking it. It's Peter van den Orde of a 1:16.189. What are the odds?
And, you know, I feel like this is a sort of racetrack where you can really shave a lot of time. This is a track that, despite having 10 turns and being on the shorter end at only 1.98 miles in length, this is one where you can shave tenths to sometimes even full seconds off your lap time if you're a bit on the slower end, like I would be out here on the racetrack. You can make up some huge gains just by mastering this track. There's a lot to throw these drivers off their game around here. You got that lack of runoff area. You got a lot of bumps with asphalt about as patchy as my face when I was 14. You've got curbs that can really throw you for a loop. That gravel trap coming out of turn number 3, which will basically feel like a brick wall if these drivers run off into it. And then you got this middle sector that we're following right here. This section of the track feels more like a kart track than anything else, but cars do run around here, and I could best describe this section of the track as trying to drink scalding hot coffee with a face full of Novocaine. Usually ends badly, but if you can master it, you will win something.
Oh, Ron, you always have something to say, always something. Laps should be flying through any time soon. I'm not sure if the first one set wouldn't be legal out of the pit. My overlay likes to lie and play games, and our highest rated driver today is Matt Kendall. We're on board with Rens Brookman here for his first timed lap across the line here. It's either it's his first time lap, or I'm not getting anything on my overlay and we have bigger problems. Tough braking zone into turn 1. It's one of only 2 super hard ones on the track. Very easy to dive bomb for it. You run very, very fast and try to send it as hard as you can up the hill. Good to know that we do indeed have lap times coming in. I like to go wide in the gravel because I'm stupid. Now you can send the car flat through the chute heading into the carousel with enough grip and with warm enough tyres. Slow it down, keep it on the new asphalt. This is the slowest part of the track. You just got to sort of keep the car balanced and on edge coming back out. And then you approach our final turn 10 just a couple turns from now, where I think this race will be a drag race across the line based on whoever gets the better exit out of there.
Yeah, this drift fest of a truck can put on some absolutely fantastic racing and then run up to the line. You know, this track is a little bit bizarre in the sense that you have the entirety of the pit lane before that start-finish line, but it's just far enough along on that straight as we see a beautiful drift from Ian Joyner heading his way off through turn number 9. That was slick stuff here in this qualifying session. Renz Brookman, though, got jump up to the provisional pole to 116.592.
I've got the time to be up on the board if somebody wants to try breaking a record. I try not to keep track of these things very often, but Summit Point's one of those tracks that we've optimized to death. I don't think we're going to get it. Maybe the weather isn't right for it. Now, our fastest lap, a 5:20, is not really up to that level. Sometimes the weather can just ruin your qualifying laps. It could be a little bit too hot on the track, and then there's not too much you can do about that based on what's been rolled. So I have a feeling that despite all of my excitement, it might not quite happen. But we're getting some faster and faster laps as they head down. Ian Joyner still fastest here. Renz Brookman is due next. Jordan Gronowski sets the second fastest. Our two-car, Renz Brookman. So we're going to be one of the last to finish his second laps. Andrea Bellotti and Mario Ras yet to set theirs. Yet we'll see how Renz crosses the line. He got 5th on his first one, and we all know the second one's a lot faster. The gaps are minuscule here at the front. You'll see them broken down again on the grid. This is the last driver that's in for a real shot at pole based on pace the first time. It's a big one, a 1:16.2. That's a huge jump. Dan Blake is here as well. I think he's given up the lap. Only 2 more drivers yet to finish any lap entirely. Andrea Bellotti and Dima Sirkin. Who's going to cross the line first? I think it is going to be Dima over here. Got to use that slipper angle exit and probably all of the tarmac there as well. It's available to you to use use as off-track all fine. Dima Sirkin cross the line at a 1:16.7. That puts him into 11th. Bellotti, our last driver before we put a quick end to this qualifying session.
Yeah, in this qualifying session, not going to see a record be broken. I think part of the reason why that is the case is down to the rather high track temperatures we've got at the present moment. 120 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment here in this qualifying session for that track temperature. That works out to roughly 48, nearly 49 degrees Celsius, with ambient temperatures not too better at a shocking 85 Fahrenheit, about 29-30 Celsius. So you're really cooking. These drivers are cooking, and the racetrack is cooking hot as well.
And that could affect the grip on the track, but we indeed have a starting grid lined up right here. Renz Brookman on pole, sets a flyer by 2 tenths. Ian Joyner in second behind. Now watch some of the gaps further down the line. Jordan Gronowski sits in P3 alongside Daniel Tufts in P4. Ozzy Turkia in 5th, next to Matt Kendall in 6th. Frederick Surley with a good position in 7th next to Christopher Cash. And Peter van der Noord, 9th next to Andrea Bellotti in 10th.
And then looking through the rest of the drivers that we have in this starting grid, it continues on with Mario Ras in P11, Dima Sirkin in P12. Looking right behind those drivers on the 6th row, it's Dan Blake and Graham Rory Hunt making up row number 7. And then right behind them, it's Felipe Catalan, there we go, second tries to charm, with Erwin Paul starting this race in 16th. P17 will be Risto Wetzman alongside Will Robertson in P18. Rounding out your starting grid for what is going to be a truly chaotic, hectic, and wacky 20-minute long race.
I'll confess to you, there's more drivers on the grid, more drivers in the track, but we're running out of time. We're only one left of grid in 30 seconds. They've all had some remarkable trigger discipline on the gridding, and as a result, I ain't missing a race start to a starting grid, I'm afraid. More further back, as you can see on your left-hand side. But with that all set and ready to go, we go green here at Summit Point. Big move over on the line there straight away by Ian Joyner. He was going to tuck right behind Renz Brookman. Both seem to get quite a significant launch down the line, though, a lot faster than the rest. Turn 1, hopefully everybody keeps it behaved back here. It's not a real time to be dive bombing or driving like an idiot, but there's not too much space. Now the next few turns very, very fast. Big boost from Jordan Gronowski there. He's going to start pushing the 4-car of Ozzy Turkia wide. They're both going to keep it on the track. themselves, though. Daniel Tufts holds the line in front of the two. This top two have had a good run away so far. Anyone in the middle of this mosh pit is going to just have to try and hope for a way up ahead. And I see a big move there from that black car on the outside. I think that's Mario Russ.
And on the subject of a mosh pit, if things go badly heading through this section of the racetrack, much like a mosh pit, I think someone's probably going to leave with a black eye. That is a super tough section to try and nail down. A small bit of racing line there for those racers, but they get through there clean. Under the bridge, down to turn 10 for the first time. Brookman going to lead over Ian Joyner. Daniel Tufts there within striking distance, along with Gronkowski and Turkio, rounding out your top five at the end of this first lap. And now we begin that game of Summit Point Leapfrog.
The draft down this straight is tremendous, and the best thing to do is to let it go often and then tuck back in line. Renz Brookman isn't going to have that this time. Ian Joyner doesn't have a run that's quite good enough. He's going to remain tucked in behind, but I wonder if the two are just going to try and work together to hold off the rest of this pack. It's side by side. Tufts and Kronowski behind it. We've got to be slowing each other down just a little. We fly through the gravel, and those right tyres, I'm pretty sure, can make a little dip on there. So you'll see a lot getting kicked up today. Still side by side between Tufts and Gronowski, and I feel like this was going to go wrong. It's gone terribly wrong for Daniel Tufts there. He just caught on the grass, unable to slow that car in time. Thankfully, no victims and no damage, and lots of time to make up places.
Yeah, lots of time, but there's a lot of ground left to gain if you are Daniel Tufts. Down on P14 at the early stages of this race. 17 and a half minutes still left to go on the clock, and probably going to be looking at about 16, 15 laps left in this race, give or take. I don't know, math was never my strong suit in school, but I think Daniel Tufts still has plenty of time to try and make up the ground. Not sure if he's going to be battling for the race win, because really at this moment, it's just about out of his hands. If Renz Brookman and Ian Joyner can work together as some pseudo teammates and not fight this too hard, we may end up seeing them pull away from that massive hornet's nest of race cars right behind.
Christopher Cash fastest here on the second lap around the track, and he makes a clean pass, now running side by side with Van der Noord. Big gap up ahead though, as you can see here. They're gonna, now running side by side is very possible here, obviously, but it requires a lot of discipline of blind spots. There's a lot about the car next to you that you can't quite see. I got pushed off earlier today by someone that just didn't quite see me in the blind spot. It happens, unfortunately, to even drivers that actually have pace. And those looking for a competitive win are probably going to do so more than anyone else. But this quite a big gap in front of Cash. It's not too late for that to be made up. I think a lot can happen in the pack up the road, but once you lose the draft, you have to be on your absolute A game and hope for the best to get it back. That gap now 1 second.
Yeah, as we continue to see these racers negotiate the first quarter of this race, just trying to keep those mistakes down to a minimum to be there at the end. That's a driver running a little bit wide coming out of turn number 10. That gravel trap on the outside is absolutely massing. It caused that pack to shake up a little bit. It is pandemonium in the midfield as they complete this lap. Look at that. That's Daniel Tufts trying to make up some moves. He's already made himself up into P12 as we got a 2x2 pack of Formula Fords right in front and a side-by-side fight a little bit farther up the road.
So the way the pack seems to be growing, 1 and 2 are playing the game very well. 3, 4, and 5 are then stuck, and then Cash is sort of leading the rest. That's a bit more gravel than you'd like to see kicked up in your face, I'm sure, on Christopher's end. But we're going to see this sort of devolve into different groups running with each other and hoping to make up the pace together. And that's how this has sort of separated for now. Brookman and Joyner still running it well. If we get to that final lap and the two are together, I often find that the best move out of the final turn is to be on the outside and often be in second to get that draft. I wonder if that game will be deliberately played by people in 15 minutes from now. It will be around 16 laps. It was 16 laps last time I raced it, but I was also, as I've alluded to, pretty slow. So these things happen, but as we can see, the two down this straight just work by each other. Renz Brookman probably won't give up too much resistance. Matt Kendall sets the fastest lap. Good old slot out ahead by Joyner. And actually, quite a bit of the pack have sort of caught themselves back on the rear due to a flyer by Matt Kendall, 115.
Yeah, as soon as those drivers a little bit farther in the back of this camera shot decided, you know what, we're not going to throw haymakers at each other, at least this lap heading down that start-finish stretch, it allowed that pack to finally grow once more. The top 5 now covered by about a half a second, 0.6 of a second to be a bit more precise. These drivers still packed in like sardines. It's going to be a real intense fight between now and the end of this race, but I wonder how many of them will be involved in that battle to the end. You got Ian Joyner leading over Renz Brookman right now. Matt Kendall, Turkia, and Gronkowski round out your top 5 presently. But this is a track that, as much as overtaking is definitely a common occurrence here, you may have some incidents that may end up going on. We've seen a little bit of drama already in this race, not nearly as much as I was expecting at a draft-heavy racetrack like this, but I feel like these drivers around here, even if they're running their own race, are definitely playing with fire to a certain extent.
Had a bit of an incident here with Graham Rory Hunt. Here he is, and I don't think this ends well. That car's already slipping and sliding, and that's a self-spin off the track. These cars live off the slip angle, no error at all, and this is a track that really tests how much that slip you can use. That's him sent to the back, and there's not really much to say about it, really. So now 5 seconds off the rest. I don't know what will get him back in this race. Ian Joyner sits behind Renz Brookman. Matt Kendall is looking a bit feisty and aggressive. He's sort of sticking his nose out of line and sort of wants to lead this train. I've done enough racing at Daytona this week, let me tell you, to say that sometimes you do just want to be in front of the train, and you do want to betray everybody in order to get there. This top 5, real separation now. It's 2 seconds back to Van der Noord.
Yeah, and you know, thinking about the good strategy to have to try and do well in this race, I feel like we've reached that point in the middle 10 minutes, as I like to say, always so important in the midsection of this race, just to keep it calm, keep cool, keep collected, keep that car on the road, and be there at the end to try and contend for this race win. So I personally wouldn't advise him to try and go for those moves, but very good reason why I'm behind the microphone instead behind the wheel, as side by side between Joyner and Brookman down into turn number 1, and Kendall and Turkey starting a battle as well.
It's 1 and 2 car have a collective 14,000 I rating between them. So to say that they know what it's like to get in front of people is no understatement. We're already starting to heat up, and we're not even at the halfway point now. We're seeing a lot more chasing, a lot more side by side, a lot more than I'm really happy with right now. Is Daniel Tufts in 8th. He is climbing his way up places. I'm seeing a lot of movement on that grid, and I'm wondering if something happened, and it took me a second, and we found it. It's Christopher Cash and Frederick Surly.
Oh, as you can see, they come to blows, and up into the air he's gonna go, and look at this. Oh no! Okay, we cut away from that right before we saw an on-screen, on-air live television fatality.
Don't worry, we'll make sure to catch it on our way. But I swear, it's unfortunate that every single week we catch Surly in top split, that car ends up upside down. I mean, it's a little tap with the 11. Surly's caught unluckily again. It really do be like that. And, that rejoin, that's scary.
He avoided it.
Yeah,
he avoided it. Oh, wow.
I don't think Felipe Catalan was all too happy with that rejoin attempt, really. Back up at the front, halfway through the race distance. Look at them fighting each other. I'm hearing talk on the mic, don't just fight. Right now, Aussie Turkia leads the group, but whoever's leading now, it hardly matters, to be honest. They are scrambling for it. Further back, Bellotti and Sirkin, who was in that contact earlier on with Cash. Just an unlucky one, really. One car clipping the other. Running in the second pack, Mario Russ is running on his own in front of Dan Blake, Will Robertson, Erwin Paul, and Risto Westman. Felipe Catalan is running on his own alongside Graham Rory Hunt, who's now tailed by Surly and Cash.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get past that moment that we saw involving Felipe Catalan a couple of moments ago, coming out of turn number 4. Well, actually, that was turn number 3. My apologies. Oh boy,
Wasn't it a fatality?
That it wasn't, but if I was Felipe Catalan, I would probably send someone a bill, not for damage repairs, but for the dry cleaning bill, because my oh my, speaking of my oh my, that's Turkey and Brookman and Joyner still battling tooth and nail for the race lead in this race. Past the halfway mark now, so we are definitely getting closer to crunch time. So these drivers starting to turn that wick up a little bit, get a bit feistier, and Turkey is able to hold on to the race lead. Brookman in the 2 car slotted in P2, Joyner in the 3 car slotted in P3, Gronkowski in the 5 car slotted in 4th. That's how it stands at the present moment, with some very quick racers at the front of the field, all running nose to tail, and I don't think anybody else will get involved in this battle unless there's some sort of scuffle. If these drivers squabble up to the point where someone ends up off the track, don't think we're going to see Peter Van den Noord get involved in this fight. So I think it'll be 5 cars at the most battling to the end. I would not discredit at least one driver dropping out for whatever reason.
Oh, and if all 5 end up in a blazing inferno, then we have a winner in Peter Van den Noord. So, I mean, I've seen crazier things happen during some races I've covered, let me tell you that. I wondered there if Friends was going to go for the bump draft, which we have seen on this channel in these cars. He didn't. He just decided to go for the regular pass around the outside, maybe the boring way. But it's an outbreak and a bit of a slide from the 4 and a little bit of contact into the 2 ahead. Just about gets away with it this time.
These drivers, as I said not terribly long ago on this show and in this race, they are playing with fire, and I think that fire is getting closer to burning their hair off more and more and closer, lap after lap, side by side and 2 by 2 as they head their way into turn number 4. Look at that, the slide from Turkey to be able to jump up into second. Gronkowski having to back out of that, understandably so, but the nice drift from Turkey to be able to jump his way up into the race lead and all that drama. Rens Brookman has been able to jump out to a 3/4 of a second gap between himself and P2. Not sure how long that will stick, but let's just see how it shakes as they head their way onto the start-finish stretch here in a couple of moments' time. That gap either going to remain the same if the drivers go side by side yet again, or it's going to just disappear in the blink of an eye as we take a look at a replay for some drama a little bit farther behind.
This is Erwin Paul, and a lot of drivers are going off the track in ways that I'm going to warn them. The disqualification is sort of like looming over your head, like a falling anvil. You're going to get abducted out of this race by Nim Cross. Oh, that's a missed braking zone into the turn, and a bit of contact leads to a turn, and the 14 there just sort of gets caught in it along the way, unfortunately. And yeah, I'm hearing a talk on the chat. Oh, you guys want to go play bumper cars up front? I know you want to. I can't identify whose voice comes from who, but I can tell you that probably comes from someone in this second pack who'd quite like to join this action. The gap now, 1.5 seconds. I actually think the squabbling has slowed them down significantly. And Daniel Tufts, it's sort of right in range.
Yeah, Daniel Tufts, he is not out of this fight just yet. I think if there's going to be anything that would work as glue to stick the top 5 with some more drivers get involved in that battle, it would probably end up being Daniel Tufts. He knows the game. He knows how to play it here in these races. He may have had that falling anvil fall on him a little bit earlier on in this race, but he's been able to shake that off, dust himself off, and run strong. Now up into 7th. He's got Peter Van den Noord right in front. It's less than a car length between those two. They head their way out of the final turn, about to begin yet another lap as the drivers farther up the road. They are having a titanic squabble, and these two working together. Was that a bump draft that I saw between Tufts and Van den Noord?
That has to have been a push, because he very deliberately didn't go around Van den Noord's car there. That was sort of a pass for the taking. Everybody knows that's a pass for the taking, and he didn't take. I think he's maybe wondering if that's the only way up the road, is just to stick with Peter and then, you know, go for the pass in the final lap maybe. But if you just do it now, you can't really improve your position past 6th. And it's kind of working. 1 second gap now to Kendall ahead, who sort of dropped off the train in the battling. These trains are sort of moving, separating, bunching back up again in very unusual ways.
Yeah, it's getting rather intriguing here at Summit Point. You know, this track, it's in West Virginia, where it's a land where a lot of strange things happen, and I think this racetrack is not immune to that. Strange things happen here before, they happen in the sim, they happen in real life, and I have a feeling we're seeing one of those situations befall these drivers yet again. 4.5 minutes now left on the clock. Brookman still leads, but I think the battling going on all throughout this field is not going to be done. We got a fight with Brookman and Gronkowski down into the turn. I wouldn't discredit the 5, but I think of all the drivers currently involved in this battle for the lead, the one that I want to keep my eyes on is Ian Joyner. I have a lot of experience covering Ian. I'm sure you do as well, Howie. He is a alien behind the wheel of these FF1600 cars. So despite the fact he's in third in a race like this, you could, if you can even see the leader, I think you have an okay shot of being able to get the win at the end of this race.
I think the advantage probably goes to the drivers that are behind on the road rather than the ones that are up in front. And the game's not really been deliberately played here with about 3.5 laps to go. The lead cars need to be very, very mindful that if they're too far ahead, where has Rens Brookman gone? That's not what I meant. That to me speaks like a hardware failure. Unfortunately, that's the worst way to go out. We'll verify this on the onboard. He might be cursing the day here, as usually you can't park there. That's the received wisdom. No, not a hard yank. Did he just want out? Did he just want over the fence and out of Summit Point? That fence looks mountable. I'll say that. But one thing that's done is just taking a driver out.
I think there may have been a problem that, oh, there was some drama heading down into the turn. I think that's Turkey who just got struck by a falling anvil. He's around. He's been able to get that car going, but the 4 car dropping down like a stone thrown into a pond. He's now down in 8th. I think the problem that we may have seen there with Brookman, I think his give a damn potentially broke as he headed his way all through the mid sector. Always hate to see a give a damn failure here in these races. As we take a look at a replay to see that drama down into the turn, there's Peter Van den Noord and Daniel Tufts going for the sends. Oh, no, that's not going to work at all. Oh, more drivers getting involved in that drama.
That tag with the 10 takes out a wheel and gives in the meatball flag this close to the end. That is not a death sentence. No, there's enough laps for Aussie Turkey here to run to the finish here. Absolutely so. So with a damaged car and possibly with a messed up wheel, I want to see how bad the damage is. He's making the stop anyway, so I'm pretty confident he would have been allowed to finish behind the iRacing gods, but maybe he either doesn't know or he really doesn't want to in a car with that state. Lead battle down to 2, Ian Joyner and Gordon Gronowski. Matt Kendall is a second behind. Peter Van den Noord is another second behind. Daniel Tufts now eyeing him up for 4th at the best.
Yeah, just wrapping up that point about Turkey. Yes, he would probably be able to finish this race, but in a car that much of a hoopty-rod, I'm not sure if he really wanted to. It's like going to the carnival in your town and following the Ferris wheel. I rode on a Ferris wheel once. I've never been so bored and terrified in my life. These drivers at the front of the field, they're not bored, but they may be a little bit terrified. Gronkowski and Joyner battling tooth and nail. They're coming to the white flag this time by as well, Howie. So one more lap of racing action in a few moments' time for these drivers. And it looks like it's going to be a 2.5 car battle. I'll say that much. I think Matt Kendall may be able to reel them in with the run-up into turn number 1 in a few moments' time, but he can tell how powerful the draft is before then. Gronkowski swapping down to the inside line, coming at turn number 9. He wants to break that draft and leave Ian Joyner with no opportunities, but Joyner right to the back of him. That's sketchy.
My inclination in this position would be to gamble on letting Joyner past me and trying to go for it and go on the last lap. That's not the move Gronowski's gone for. He's going to hold the line. Joyner has locked up those right-hand wheels now into turn 1. He has been successfully intimidated out that turn 1, and that could spell a masterstroke for Jordan. The gap ahead now 3/10. It's not insurmountable, but Joyner's got a mountain to climb, and the game is Kendall's again.
Yeah, and here we go. Just as I suspected, he could get involved in that battle just by clearing those racers and getting involved in it with a run down to turn number 1. Look at that, though. The 1 very deep on the brakes and to turn number 5 through the twisty, tight middle sector for the final time. Matt Kendall, I think, has a good opportunity to get it done. Let's just see, though, what Gronkowski can do as he heads his way through 8 into 9 for the final time.
We're going to get on the chopper cam for this. This is all about that final corner. It's Gronowski up ahead. He's in the unlucky place here. Matt Kendall is the contender that could take this. I've seen wins by the thousands, and it's entirely about this exit. And I think it's been a good one for Gronowski here. And I think that'll be his win on the line, indeed.
Gronkowski, he was able to master that right at the end. As much as it is a long run all the way through to the fall of the checkered flag, unless you got a terrible exit out of that turn, I think you'll still be good at the end of it. Ian Joyner, though, he grabs the other P3. Daniel Tufts, though, props where props are due to the driver of the 1 car, giving his congratulations to your winner of Gronkowski. He was able to finish that race in P4 after dropping down to P15 it was, after that moment down to 5. Incredible stuff from him. But you can see that contact being made, that just about sealed the fate of Joyner, and yeah, that was definitely clunky.
This was interesting. The 5 chose to defend, and this was the move that gave it up here. It's a send around the outside. It's quite desperate of a move, really, and there's a lock-up on that right front, and really that's just not the typical way you'd play that line in first, but he pressured Joyner into making a mistake, very fair and square, and that makes for a fantastic win.
Yeah, I mean, well done to Gronkowski, and I gotta say, credit where credit is due to Joyner for at least giving it the try. I think one driver who will be happy about that is Kendall, because frankly, if it wasn't for both of those maneuvers as they headed their way down that start-finish stretch off into turn 1, I don't think we would have seen that driver get involved in that battle. If we would have, it would have been a bit more tense in terms of him getting P2 at the end of it all. But, oh, terrible voice crack. I apologize to any chihuahuas that just exploded with that from my end. But, wow. That was a pretty good race here at Summit Point. You always expect good racing here, and we certainly got it in spades.
I prefer to have fun over unimaginable drama to unpick. Jordan Gronowski takes the win over Matt Kendall on the line. The draft isn't quite in line. Ian Joyner finishes 3rd ahead of Daniel Tufts, Peter van der Noord, Dimas Sirkin, Andrea Bellotti, Dan Blake, Will Robertson, and Mario Ras. Just further behind, Felipe Catalan, Risto Westerman, Graham Rory Hunt, Christopher Cash, Frederick Surley, Erwin Paul, Ozzy Turkia, and Renz Bruckman all finish in the back. Renz with a hardware failure that just about set him back. We're going to take a little peek at the championship standings. I have made the call for drivers to come for interviews, and I hope they don't come ridiculously, fashionably late, because you know how it is around here sometimes. These things just happen. This would put Daniel Tufts in the lead. Renz Bruckman still enough points to hold on, and we will include drop weeks by the end of the championship, so your worst rounds will get to be excluded. Andrea Bellotti finishes 3rd, and we're going to need to see O'Grady and Werrell come back in order for them to really challenge at this early enough stage. Well, that's Summit Point as ever, but next week I am positively scared for the most terrifying week of the championship. Last time I did a rookie formula race, well, not rookie, but a junior formula car race around Watkins Glen. It was a wreck fest in the Skip Barbers, and we're going to do it again in cars with even less grip.
You know, Watkins Glen to me is a track that if you like it, you'll have some fun. If you have some outstanding questions about Watkins Glen as a motorsports facility, you're going to die. So I have a feeling that those drivers are going to have a mixed bag of a race there. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I adore Watkins Glen, but it can be a track that puts you on your butt in the blink of an eye. So let's see how those racers handle that race, which is set to be a temperamental one in just 1 week's time here on Maconi Entertainment.
I mean, I'll say I love it in sports cars, but you put it in drafty cars and it just becomes like the Elimination Chamber from WWE. Like, it just, I've never seen anything like it. So, these very drafty, very slippy cars that don't like elevation change are going to have a really fun time. And there's a chance of rain. It's a small chance. But there is a chance of rain, and Beatrice knows if she joins it, it's a guarantee. So, that's even better. We do have one driver to speak to at the very end. I'm going to hand off to Ian Joyner, and then we'll see if anyone else joins along the way. Ian Joyner, a good race on the track, but I'm sure you're ruining what it potentially could have been. That last lap was very decisive.
Yeah, good evening. It's a bit of a shame to not have slightly cleaner last lap, but it was a fun race, nonetheless. No idea what happened to Rennes. That sort of made it from that point a two-way fight. I didn't think Matt was going to get onto us, but I just caught Jordan a bit too early, and then didn't have anywhere to go basically. So
I think he made the unusual decision to defend on the last lap, and the lockup on the outside is kind of like the second master stroke that he hopes you'll do. But really, I mean, this track is a bit of a classic in these cars. We know it shows up for rookies every single season. How do you enjoy it?
I love this track. I think it does tend to cause a few incidents, but that's not the track's fault, to be fair. Not normally a few drivers involved, but I think it's a brilliant track to race on. Really good match for these cars. It's fun. It's good all the way through. Really, 20 minutes flew by.
And next week is at Watkins Glen, which is going to be very unusual for these cars. Let's discount the possibility of rain. Beatrice will have to make it happen if it does. But otherwise, I think it's going to drive like a bit of a crazy draft train. But what's your insight from your driver's seat in these things?
Yeah, I don't know whether I've raced them at Watkins before. You see how much draft there is even here, but you kind of want a track where it's the draft maybe keeps people close, but doesn't necessarily make it easy to overtake. This is borderline. It's not easy to defend if you've got no draft in front, but I think Watkins will just be sort of some kind of mad drafting strategy. Unless it's wet, then it'll be probably, even crazier.
You never know what's going to happen. It was an exciting race. Live to see you every week. And you can at least enjoy the P3 for what you can.
I can't complain. I can't remember where I qualified, but second, wasn't I? I've gone backwards. I was about to say I hadn't qualified that well in the last few races, so I thought I'd gone forwards. But either way, I'll take third with the level of the field.
That was Ian Joyner, and I've left you, Ron, with Renz Brookman, who had a fantastic race until unusual incidents. You might be able to work out and get to the bottom of that.
And Renz Brookman now joining us here in the commentary booth. Renz, firstly, before I ask you how your race went, how did the race end for you? We were split as to whether or not that was a hardware failure or if your give a damn broke there. So what's the deal there as you headed your way out of turn 8?
It seemed my iRacing just froze on me, so like it was paused. So I tried to steer in the direction I know the track was not going. And hopefully was out of everybody's way. But no, it's just iRacing froze on me for like a minute.
Gotcha, man. It's unfortunate. It's strange at a track like this, which is usually one of the more optimized ones in the sim in terms of performance. I've even had my own screen freezes. I remember running an IndyCar around here about a year ago and had a screen freeze down to turn number 4, which was absolutely petrifying to say the very least. But this track is fun and put on some absolutely fantastic racing action. So I want to ask you about how the race was up until then.
Up until that point, the race was actually great. Racing with Ian and Jordan. I think we even got away slightly from P4 and the guys further back. So it was looking quite good, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of hard, patient racing as well. So no, it was good up to that point. I was looking forward to the final couple of laps, but unfortunately, I was out at the time.
Well, still nice to see you battling all throughout that race, and keeping our fingers crossed that we'll see you battling yet again at Watkins Glen in 1 week's time, going from one old school American track to another. I'm looking forward to that race, albeit I'm a bit biased because I'm an American, but what are your thoughts heading there?
Well, I'm a big fan of the track, so obviously I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure how it is with these cars, as the draft will be probably really strong and it's quite high speed, I think. like through the chicanes. So it will be interesting. I very much look forward to it.
And looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack in just 1 week's time, Renz. Thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth, and we'll let you give a thanks or shout-outs before we let you go.
Just as always, thanks to you guys for doing this, and thanks for all the fast and clean drivers in the race.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for joining us here in the broadcast booth. Commiserations about the screen freeze, but looking forward to seeing you out on track at the Glen in just 1 week's time.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Well, we've had about all the post-race reflections that we can really hope for, so it's just worth saying thank you very, very much for watching, and we wish you the very best